And we can just dance the night away until we can no more. Shake all the hurt away so you can feel and forget who you used to be. For just tonight, could you just dance the night away?
There we go. But I do better when I understand the mechanics of other classes and stuff. And that's just how my brain has always done things. Doesn't necessarily make it right or wrong, it's just how it is. Okay, so I need to get down here. So I need to go around. Will you guys ignore that? You can't fight it from there comfortably. I mean, you can, but I'm not about to go fight a stupid scorpion from God knows where. We're gonna do this. At the close target. Okay, this armor is so much nicer now. I greatly appreciate the better armor. It also could be that I haven't came back around this way, and so now the enemies seem easier. I know I should have waited a little longer. Endurance of pain. Okay. Is this, okay, it's 10. So I kept thinking it was 5, but I think it's because I was thinking about this one here. And it's 5. There we go. Okay, that was much smoother. But I think that if I play these different classes, I'll understand them better. Like if I build a Mesmer with something else, I'll have a better understanding of how these things work. It's part of the reason why in Guild Wars 2 I don't use the boosters, the level 80 boosters, unless I'm using a template. I did it with my Necromancer, but I did it because I was using a Snowcrow build. It makes it easier for me to comprehend it if I actually do better with classes if I've leveled them up versus if I don't. It seems really silly, but it's just how I am. I think it's honestly I chalk it up to my learned disabilities, which it's not necessarily a complaint or a whine about it. It just means that I have to do things my way or it doesn't stick. My brain does not have the glue it should have. It is not fair, but that is life. That was always a fun thing in school. And I say fun things with sarcasm, thick in my memory. I had teachers who thought, well, why can't you keep up with the other kids? Because this doesn't make any sense. It's not that hard. It's like, yes, it's not hard for normal people, but I have a disability. There's a reason that I can't comprehend these things as easily as other people. And then you try to explain it to them, and then they act like you're giving them excuses. I had a teacher, I literally was explaining, okay, so I was reading something, right? And I was actually really proud of myself because I was reading it, but I kind of sputter. If you've noticed when I read things, I sputter. I was like, oh, sorry, I might use the word cloud instead of like cushion or something. They're not the same word, but they're C words and they get mixed in my head, right? It's silly, right? But I was reading and I messed some words up here and there. It wasn't a clear read, but I got it in the end. I was really proud of myself because I got it to the end and I did end up reading all of the words. Correct order? No. Did I read them? Yes. So she got mad at me and I tried to explain to her, well, I have a learning disability and therefore it makes it to where my reading is not as smooth and clear as it should be compared to every other kid in my class and of the same grade level, right? I comprehend what I'm doing, but I can't communicate it very clearly to other people. And then also sometimes I have to absorb information differently. That's all it's to it, right? It's just my wiring in my brain isn't right. Are you okay? I thought he was a boss. I was like, he's by himself, but he just didn't attack. That's all. Well, I know what attack that is, so I ain't going near you. So, anyways, because of that, I have to do things at my pace and my way. But she didn't believe me. She just claimed I was being stubborn, and because I wanted to be seen as special and be given special treatment, and she gave me a lecture to my face in front of my entire grade, or in front of my entire class, that knows full well that they've known me since we were in like first grade. Actually, it was since first grade. Yeah, it's first grade. So they know that I'm not faking this. They're like, no, she's got to learn the problem. She's been like this forever. Teacher wouldn't believe me. She just lectured me about how the world doesn't cater to you, blah, 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 blah. No one's gonna, treat you specially, blah, blah, blah. She did this. She gave this full-on lecture. And so I went to my special ed class, and I told my teacher what happened. My teacher sighs and goes, I will talk with her and explain the situation. And so she did. I never got an apology. Not once. I think I took that teleporter and didn't need to. I didn't get an apology, not once, from that teacher. Because she just claimed I was trying to be difficult. And, okay. So she basically said, well, you could have just told me you had these problems. And I said, I did. But I swear, I had so many times where I had to go to my special ed teachers and be like, can you go to this teacher and explain to them that I'm not being difficult to be difficult. I literally just have just problems. The amount of times I had to go do that, it was ridiculous. Like, it was ridiculous. We had to, our special ed teachers had to be like ambassadors for us because our teachers would not take us seriously. They kept thinking we were just bullcrapping them. I'm like, I don't want this. Do you think I want to have problems? I would not wish this upon my enemy. The worst part is, right, it's the fact that it's such a small thing, too. I'm gonna get rid of them because they're gonna be a problem anyways. It's such a small thing. So no one takes you seriously. They think that you're just making it up. And the funny thing is, I had so many teachers who say, no one's gonna, like, cater to you in the real world. The reality is, I got into the real world, and everybody catered to it. All I had to do, the amount of times I just walked up to my special ed teacher and said, or to my boss and said, hey, can you read this for me? They're like, why? Why can't you read it yourself? Because I keep reading it and I don't understand it. I literally did that to one of my coworkers who was above me by she was a manager. And I said, could you please read this to me? They had new policy changes, something like that. She goes, okay, well, why do you need me to read it to you? Why are you busy or something? Because sometimes one of the employees will read something to another employee while they are working, because they can't stop what they're doing to do something, right? Yeah, stock this shelf, etc., etc., etc. I said, I can't. I'm reading it. I can't comprehend it. She goes, oh. And I said, I have a learning disability. I told her I had dyslexia. She goes, oh, okay. She goes, my cousin has that. Here. And proceeds to read it. She's my boss. She gets paid salary. Didn't care. She just picks up the paper and goes, this is what it is. And she read it in such a nice way because I just kept working. So while she's reading it, I was stocking shelves and stuff and comprehending. She read it so well. I was like, thank you. That was very good. And then I asked her questions of like, why did they use this word? What does this word mean? Because there was one word that they used. It was like a very fancy word for technically or on a case-by-case basis or something. And my boss just said, oh, it just means that they will take this by a case-by-case situation and that, blah, 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 right? I've been to multiple jobs and never once have I had a single employer tell me, oh, suck it up, buttercup. They're like, oh, okay, here. This is what it means. Here's what it says. They don't care. They would rather they'd rather baby feed it, what's it called? Baby bird feed it to you than have you not understand the rules and then break the rules and get them in trouble. Because a lot of jobs have these rules in place based on past issues with their company. Like for instance, Walmart has a policy of you cannot work on your break. Right. The problem is that there are bosses that break that rule and it breaks conduct because a lot of employees have threatened to unionize over the years for not letting them have their hour-long break because they make them work like 9-hour shifts. Right. That includes your lunch break. Right. And if you have to skip an hour lunch to do it, especially if you're a cashier and stuff or a cart pusher, that can mean either not having food to eat at all that day or whatnot, and it can be really horrible. As someone who has voluntarily during certain holiday events let myself have lunch late, the amount of shakiness and weakness you will get from that is insane. It is not pleasant. So it's kind of important to have a meal. It's like a big deal. It's not employees being lazy. It's a matter of being shaky or not. And I don't even have like diabetes or weaknesses, because we had some employees who had like diabetes, and if their sugar dropped to a certain point, no, they have to leave, you know, that kind of thing. It is not a question. It is either they leave that moment or they're on the floor and you have to drag them to the back, if you're lucky, right? We haven't had an issue with that in my coworkers and stuff. So luckily, we never had an issue with a coworker fainting, and not having someone take it seriously. But that is something that, as a policy, because Walmart has had problems with managers and higher ups, and even just basic employees that are low rank, not taking people's health conditions, and they're just needing a break. Seriously, right? But that's a policy they put in place. They have to actually state it pretty firmly in their rules to prevent workers from unionizing, right? Another good example was when I worked at Casey's and stuff. They have strict rules on how rewards work because employees have abused it and even have stolen from the company using those points and stuff, because they would go in there and they would steal from customers, is what it was, right? Because what people don't realize is that if you have like Casey's rewards and stuff, that you do get stuff for free or discounted and whatnot. That's great. But some employees would put in their rewards for other people's gas. And the customer may not have rewards. Even like, because I had customers who were like, well, if they don't have rewards, then they're not stealing. It's like, technically they are. Because if a customer doesn't have rewards, you can't benefit from their gas because you're there all the time. So you're not really supposed to do that with other people's gas in general. But sometimes, I won't lie, that the employees will put things in for when it's like a free thing. Sometimes, because there's certain things that I won't drink or eat that are free, right? And I would give it to another customer and stuff. But I'd always tell them, you're not supposed to do that. It's technically theft from the company, because you're using your points for somebody else. It's, that. But there was a big no-no at my own store and everywhere about not using your rewards on other people's gas. When they're paying for it, you cannot take benefits from their paying of it. It's not ethical, it's not right, it's not fair. Especially considering that not everybody who works at a Casey's is a cashier, and therefore do not have the same benefit of trying to make something from that. So if you've got someone who chronically works on pizza or chronically works in the freezer and cooler, it's not fair to them and it causes problems, right? So my point being is that there are policies like that in some companies that are sometimes are strictly based in those industries, like the Walmart lunch breaks and the Casey's rewards thing, right? I mean, Walmart has similar stipulations on rewards too, but it's harder to manage because most of those discounts are based off food. So it is not unusual for an employee to turn a blind eye to someone coming in and using their daughter's card to buy food, because they all benefit from it in a way, as long as it doesn't become a problem or it's not being used without the consent of the daughter. Granted, it's not, oh hey look, these guys look like the orcs that I've seen in Guild Wars 2. I don't know if I want to fight them, but I just want to get a little closer. Anyways, point being is that I've never had a boss ever not explain rules to me. I've never had them say, oh, well, I'm not telling you or reading this to you ever. So I always found it stupid when school would be like, oh, well, we're not going to tell you, they're not going to baby bird all this information to you. They do. They have to. And in most cases, it's even required by law, because I have it on paper saying that I am slower than I should be. It's not like meant to be mean. It's not me using my problems as like a thing. It's literally just, it's what I need for me. So I always think that's stupid, because there's a lot of things school lies about with that. That's just stupid. It's like, don't get me wrong, I don't abuse the things you've got going on. I don't have them read everything for me. If I can read it myself and comprehend it, I will. I like having my independence. I like being able to read things on my own and enjoy my own time and not have to bother my bosses. But if I come to somebody and I say, hey, I can't do this, it's because I genuinely can't. And as long as people live by that rule of conduct of not abusing your disabilities and things, or abusing your privileges with that, then all is well. And in most cases, most people don't. I've met a lot of people who have different disabilities. Some of them mental, some of them physical, some of them emotional. I had a coworker who had depression problems. Like, she didn't like bringing it up. She always said she had a mood problem because she didn't like the the stereotype with it of people disrespecting her or looking down upon her. She had depression for a long time. They don't know what it stemmed from for her, like if it was a psychological thing, emotional thing, physical things. Who knows? It's really hard, really complicated to know where it comes from. But she thinks that it came from her having kids. Because most of the women in her family, once they have kids, they start having hormonal problems and it makes them depressed. She's like, I'm aware that I have these problems and it's not like hindering her too much. It just makes it to where she doesn't have energy to do certain things sometimes. Sometimes she's not eating properly and sometimes she's not sleeping properly. Stuff like that. Little things. They add up, but they all affect your mood. So sometimes she's just not as happy as she should be. Luckily, she says she has it milder than all of her other family members, right? I'm keeping some details vague for obvious reasons. I don't want to stick my nose in too much. But she didn't like make a big deal of it. Honestly, these worms are fun to fight. Heck yeah, we got 2 of them now. This might be a bad idea, I don't know. I'm actually gonna do this. They're really big compared to the ones in Guild Wars 2. I guess, now that I think about it, they're probably about the same size in Guild Wars 2 compared to Toon. I don't know. I think the worms in Guild Wars 2 are a little bit shorter. But they're bulkier. They're definitely fatter. They got fatter. Their necks are fatter, but their mouths aren't as big. I know I probably could move and avoid being stunned, but I kind of don't want to move. Laziness. Anyways, but she had like depression and stuff, and so she had to have things catered to her sometimes. And then, so she didn't fake it. So it really ticked her off when there were cashiers up front that are she'd always call them little girls, who would say, "I'm so depressed," and she's like, "They're not depressed because they have it good. They're she's like she said that she could tell that they were not actually depressed. And they were using it as an excuse because they're not going to the doctor, because she'd say, hey, go to the doctor, go to a therapist, talk it out, find your symptoms, find something to help treat it. Because not all the time. I have an aunt who doesn't use antidepressants because she doesn't like how they make her feel. They don't help her. They make her feel worse. But she's found that dieting, she takes certain vitamins and foods, and she eats healthier, and she does things. She moves around the house a little bit. She does physical things that get her out of that headspace. She distracts herself, and she also tends to eat healthy and try to eat and have vitamins and stuff. She believes is from not having the right vitamins in her brain to keep her going, which makes sense. I also tend to use I try to diet and stuff. I've noticed that if I avoid certain foods, if I don't eat too much dairy and stuff, I don't have as much of a problem attention-wise and anxiety-wise. But because I used to drink too much milk and cheese, to the point where it wasn't good. I don't know if they're actually related to each other. I'll be real with you. It may just be a correlation thing. But yeah, so I've known some people who just diet better, take better care of themselves. I don't think there's a door this way, so maybe? Is that a door there? Did I come through that door? That's what I want to know. I don't know. It's not my map, so I don't think so. I think that there's a door. So yeah. So there's some people the antidepressant medicine doesn't help. So she was using other things, and she says the girl would not do anything to make it better. She wouldn't go get herself fixed. If she was having such a struggle that she needed medication, because the girl kept saying, oh, I need medication, and she had insurance and money through our store, because they obviously had very intimate conversations about it. Will you guys get over here? You're not gonna be able to fight those like that. So they had several conversations about it and everything. They were coworker best friends up front. And she said that she said the girl never attempted to make anything better. She just accepted the day. And I kind of get what she means, because if you don't do anything to try and help, you're never going to make yourself feel better, and you're never going to be able to do anything. We had a coworker who was physically handicapped. I don't remember why or how. He just had a bad leg. He could stand for short periods of time, but he just normally sat down. And they just normally had him as a door greeter. And sometimes he'd leave with a cane, or he'd have his wife come pick him up with his wheelchair. It really depends on how like sore his leg was, because he sometimes it was really bad to the point where they allowed him a chair because like he had problems. I don't remember. I think he had arthritis that tore up his leg. I don't think it was anything unreasonably bad injury wise. Like it wasn't like from him having he had like a war history. He went and was in the military, but it didn't come from the military. Is what when I say I shouldn't say it, when I'm saying that, so it wasn't traumatic. He said luckily he served and didn't have any issues. So his just came from old age. There we go. I was trying to get out the word it. He got his from old age. But there were people who would see him walk out some days with no cane, or sometimes they'd see him in a wheelchair, and there were customers who were so rude, who would just assume that he didn't need those things. A customer one time got mad at him because he was sitting at the front entrance with a chair, and she said that her husband at a different store wasn't allowed to sit, but he was, and she thought that that was unfair, that he couldn't sit, but he could, blah 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 blah, all this nonsense. But the bosses can't explain to anybody whose health problems are what. The only reason I know is because they told me, and even if they had, with him telling me, I couldn't have told a customer even if I wanted to, because it violates rights, and it's just not polite. As well as I think HIPAA laws, but I don't know if HIPAA laws apply to people specifically. But I don't go around telling people other people's stuff in person. And as I said, I'm being vague, so it's not going to hurt nobody's feelings or make them unsafe. But I better stop. I forgot that I have to let them go. But she got into his face about it, saying that her husband's not allowed to do these things. Well, her husband's perfectly healthy, by the way. We found it through the grapevine, because gossip. Don't ever start crap at a Walmart or any retail place. They will talk smack about you, okay? You will 100% get talked smack about. So, and they will say things, okay? I will give you the insight on that. They will not, no. You don't want to be known with a bad nickname. Because there are customers with bad nicknames and customers with good nicknames, and they'll talk smack about the bad ones in their break room while they eat a ham sandwich. And their bosses will cover for them. They'll be like, oh, they wouldn't say such things. So, because honestly, the bosses are also talking smack about you. If you are a problem and you are a nuisance, they will talk smack. Same thing in restaurants too, but I think that go figure, right? Oh good, these are soldiers. I could deal with these guys. They're not fantastic, but they're not bad. But she got in his face about it. We found out the grapevine that her husband was perfectly healthy, and that her husband doesn't even like sitting at the registers and stuff. Because at the other store, they actually encouraged people to do it, because they put a lot of their elderly up front doing cashiering because it's easier work on their joints. And a lot of customers really like seeing and talking to their elderly in their group. That's why they're good customer service people. I've been to the store; the cashiers were top notch, sweet as can be, capable, that kind of thing. But she talking mad smack to him and getting in his face and making fun. She made that man tear up because he felt like he was a burden after all the things she said to him. And it made everybody mad because he was not a burden. He was one of our fastest cashiers. He was like really good at his job. And he was very sweet. And she was making his life and his job a problem. And he was worried he was going to get wrote up because he was afraid they were going to get mad and they were not going to take his side. And everyone's like, we're not going to take the side of somebody who, A, doesn't know you and your situation. And it's not their business to know, But, it was really sad. He did end up getting cheered. He was told by management, you're not getting wrote up, not in trouble. Because they had to remove him from the front during this situation because she got loud. She didn't get violent. She just got loud. And she started badgering him while he was still on duty for a little bit. And that was a problem. She was a nuisance. She was told that if she couldn't be nice, that she shouldn't come back. They politely told her that if you can't be nice, don't come back. And my store did not like trying to shut the door in people's faces because some people have bad days and stuff, and customers are profit, right? Sadly to say, but they basically told her, you're not welcome. When they shut you down like that, that's normally a bad sign. They're like, yeah, we don't need your business that much, just get out. That's their polite way of saying, we don't need your business if you're going to be that way. That's a small town too, so business is important. It's one thing if a big store tells you that. It's a different story if a local store is just like, nah, get out. But yeah, so like most people who have physical or emotional or mental problems going on, they don't fake it. But the ones that do fake it make everyone look bad, like the teenager up front. And I know the teenager, she really wasn't that much of a teenager. She was like a 20-year-old, but she was close. She acted like a teenager. She one time left her register because she broke a nail. I kid you not, broke a nail. Like not like broken nail where it was bleeding, you know, like where it like, you know, pulls back to the quake. We've had cashiers do go to the back to clip hangnails. That's what they're called, hangnails. That's fine. That's an unreasonable thing. You don't want to. That's reasonable. You don't want to like be bleeding or be uncomfortable with that. That's one thing. She left because a little piece of nail jewelry fell off. She had like these little flowers that she had glued onto her nail. She went to the back to clip the whole nail because she'd done her own nails, and she clipped she pulled back the fake nails, so she took off all her fake nails, which were fine, and then trimmed her nails. So she was back there. They caught her on camera just like doing her nails, filing it down, making it look pretty, all this stuff. And here's the problem. They don't mind doing that, but like there were 3 women up front who were like, I would have given her my nail kit to do that up front. But she wasted because when she walked back there conveniently when there were other people at the register where a rush of people came in because they suddenly had a lot of people. So it wasn't about the nail. She used the nail as an excuse to walk away from her register, leaving the front end one cashier short when they had a rush of people come in because it was like lunchtime, school was getting out, stuff like that. So she left them high and dry and used the excuse of, I had a hangnail or I had to fix my nail. It was a problem. It was bothering me. And then they're like, no, you left your register when everybody was getting busy. We see it on camera. And when they said they see it on camera, they see it on camera. Like, it's not like it's normally pretty freaking obvious because, like I said, bosses in Walmart kind of, at least good ones, tip around because the people complain, you know? So, oh my gosh, it was so obvious. Even I saw it, like, because I, like, watched her do it. I was over in, like, the candy department putting candy away. They had seasonal candy coming out. We were preparing, I think, for Halloween, I think. It was either Halloween or Christmas. It was one of the two. I think it was Christmas. Because those 2 are hot seasons. It was one of those things. Is we were having people coming in to buy, ooh, we have a town. Nice. Oh, so here's the Doom to Despair. Cool. I wasn't prepared to come here, but this is great. So I was right about the rule of thumb, at least so far. So I wonder if the other one's out here. It also makes sense, I think, that that'd be the case, because we're kind of running out of space for the desert area. Well, we have some spots up here, but I don't know how far out this map goes. These dark mountains may be unreal. But she got them, like, she was definitely trying to, like, get out of doing duties. And then when they wouldn't buy the whole, oh, your nail thing isn't an excusable thing, then she brought out the, oh, I'm just depressed and my nails are the only thing that make me happy and comfort me, that kind of thing. And it made it made the cashier that was up front that was older, that was struggling, mad because she thought that was stupid. Because she's like, if that's your comfort, you need to come prepared for that. Because we had one other cashier who likes her nails. She likes doing her nails, she likes doing her makeup, and she has her hair nice. And don't get me wrong, she looks beautiful, right? And you know what she carries on her? She has this little nail kit that she keeps on her. And she has a little bit of backup makeup to replace it, and a little hand mirror. And between customers every now and then, she would adjust her makeup to make it fit right. She looked beautiful. She was very likable. Likable as a person and as a cashier. And the lady who has these as a hobby and these are her fun things, she goes, if those things matter to you and they keep your mental health in good condition, she's like, then you need to be prepared to have it on the fly, right? She's like, it'd be like being a diabetic with not having an emergency candy, because all of our diabetic coworkers carried candy. Heck, there were some of them that worked in units together that were friends that would carry candy for each other. There was one time we had a coworker. I was told this secondhand. I thought it was the cutest thing in the world. She's this cute little lady. She doesn't miss her medicine ever, like her insulin and whatnot. But it had been a really hard Christmas, and they were backed up, and she forgot to take her medicine. And so she started getting shaky, and she goes, "Oh, I forgot to take my medicine. I better, I'll take some emergency candy, and then I'll finish this thing and go back there." Her boss goes, "No, you better have back there now." But before she even got into her own pocket to pull candy out, 3 employees had pulled out like candies and sweets in their own pocket and handed it to her. And so she walked away with a handful of candy. She's like, "I have candy." They're like, "No, you have candy. You have more candy now." Because they all loved her. So they were carrying emergency candy for months in their pockets just because they wanted to have her back. And granted, whenever she was working, she'd offer the candy to the other employees every now and then because, she'd have extra. And that one day she just didn't have it with her. It was just, she forgot it in the break room and all this stuff. So she had this candy. So she walked past like a bunch of the other cashiers and coworkers just giggling to herself because she has a whole wad full of candy, peppermints. She had like chocolates. She just looked like a little kid in the candy factory, and she's just sitting there eating candy as she's heading back. She's just big, bright eyed. It was really funny. And I heard it secondhand in the nighttime because it was a morning crew. And the morning crew was like, "You won't believe how cute this was." So she wasn't offended or anything like that. She was actually flattered. She went back there, took her medicine. They told her to sit down. They made her sit down 30 minutes extra on the clock so that she could get her blood sugar back up comfortably. They didn't want her to walk and stumble out there and hurt herself because she was that loved and respected. She said, "I never felt so loved." She's like, "That is a gift that I could never ask to, that never stops giving." Really sweet. Okay, I'm done rambling. We're going to move on to the next game, which is going to be Subnautica. So give me a second while I...
And we can just dance the night away until we get no more. I'll shake all the hurt away so you can feel and forget who